My dear students of class 10, welcome to you all. I like to discuss today our next topic in the same chapter, the rise of nationalism in Europe. What did liberal nationalism stand for? We know that two forces in Europe at the time emerged. One is liberalism, another was conservatism. Now, liberalism, nationalism stand for the freedom for all and equality of law enjoyed by all the people. And this is the political belief of the liberal nationalists, and economically they also demanded freedom of markets and abolition of restrictions, state imposed restrictions on all duties or freedom, and also the movement of goods and actually other things from one state to another, or restrictions which are imposed by the state on all goods and other things. See that this was the strong, and now what was the strong demand of the emerging middle class. However, I like to repeat it again. The term liberalism comes from the Latin word liber, which means free, and it again politically it emphasized freedom for all and equality of all individual. Equality of all individuals before the law. And economically it emphasized, it demanded the freedom of markets and also abolition of all state imposed restrictions on all goods, etc. And this was the strong demand of the strong economically, that was they demanded the place, the demand by the emerging middle class. Now, what was Zollverein? Zollverein was formed in the year 1834. It was a customs union. The initiative was taken by Prussia. Zollverein was established in Germany, and initiative was taken in Prussia, 1834. It wanted to unite all the German nations under the initiative, under the Zollverein. You see that by this, initially they abolished the tariff barriers, and also they reduced the currency from 32 to 2. There are several currencies prevalent at that time. It was reduced to 2 currencies. Now, similarly, I can mention that in this way, economic nationalism helped in the development of united Germany. It is called economic nationalism. Now, afterwards, I may mention a new form of conservatism, because already I discussed that Napoleon was defeated in the Battle of Waterloo in 1815, and ultimately after the defeat of battle, all the European powers, that is 4 powers, Britain, Russia, Prussia, Austria, met at the capital of Vienna, that is the capital of Austria, and they signed a treaty, and they are known as conservative powers. So, who are called conservatives? Those who believed in traditional customs, traditional belief, and they did not want to make a quick change. They believed in the slow change. So, this is the idea of the conservatives. If I explain it, that the European power, the conservative powers, they actually wanted to maintain the traditional institutions like the church, monarchy, a society like the is the family, aristocratic family, and the hierarchical structure, hierarchical society. So that was their purpose. And now with this purpose they met at Vienna. The four powers already I have mentioned. And what were the objects of the Vienna Congress? Vienna Congress, the purpose, main purpose was to the restoration of the old monarchical form or order and destruction of French ideals, liberty, equality and fraternity. In the Vienna, they adopted the three principles. Principle of balance of power, principle of compensation and principle of legitimacy. Principle of balance of power, compensation and legitimacy. Now, by this principle of legitimacy, they restored the Bourbon dynasty and other dynasties in different countries of Europe. They restored the Bourbon dynasty in France. After the defeat of Napoleon, France lost its territories. A number of territories was, and the principle of balance of power was created or placed in and around France, so that France could not revolt again. You see that that is Netherlands, including the Belgium, was placed in the northern part. Similarly, Austria was given the northern Italy, and Prussia was given a part of Saxony. Russia was given a part of Poland. It is a principle of compensation. And in this way, the monarchical powers or old conservative powers of Europe wanted to restore or maintain the old order, restoration of monarchical form of government, aristocratic form of government, and they wanted to destroy the revolutionary ideals of the French Revolution. We see that naturally any sort of criticism, when the conservatives at that time did not tolerate criticism, dissent or any sort of criticism against them and sought to curb the activities that questioned the legitimacy of the autocratic rule or autocratic government. Suppose in the form of newspapers and books or writings, any sort of criticism by the student community or educated middle class, they curbed it. For example, in Germany they passed the Karlsbad decree, Carlsbud, decree. So this is how they actually decided to destroy nationalism, ideas of nationalism, ideas of democracy in Europe, and restoration of the traditional system, traditional institutions, traditional customs, etc. So next we can say, how did that is in this way you see that I already have started the topic. There is a conflict between the two major political ideology. One was liberalism, another was conservatism. Already have discussed what is liberalism and what is conservatism. Naturally, the revolutionaries after 1815, what happened? The revolutionaries now, the educated middle class, liberal nationalists wanted to spread the idea of liberalism, nationalism in different countries of Europe. How? They actually formed underground secret societies. Many secret society was formed in Poland, Germany, Italy and many other countries. We see that in this way I can mention the name of Italy. Giuseppe Mazzini, he was a great revolutionary, a member of the secret society of Carbonari, and he also founded 1831 he first organized a revolutionary movement at Liguria, and it was a failure. He also founded a society at Versailles, a secret society, and also at Bern in Europe. However, we see that similarly he was he decided to spread the ideas of liberalism and democratic ideals among the different countries of Europe. He realized that, and many actually countries, the young men of the many countries became the member of the secret society. Poland, Hungary, Germany, Italy. We see that he actually thought that Italy should not be. At that time, Italy was a combination of several small kingdoms or countries. But now he wanted to, but thus I can say that it was just a merely geographical expression. Italy was a merely geographical expression. He wanted to remove it, and he wanted to build a new Italy which would be built on democracy and ideal of nationalism. So it was the new republic, Italian republic, was to be set up. Now naturally we can understand that Mazzini was he opposed the monarchical form of government, and also he was he wanted to establish democratic republic in Italy. Naturally Metternich, who was the Chancellor of Austria, and he was the one who hosted the Vienna Congress, described his most dangerous enemy of our conservative order. Dangerous enemy of our conservative order. So we can see that next we see that as conservative regimes tried to consolidate their power, liberalism and nationalism came to be associated with the revolution in many countries of Europe, namely Ottoman Turkey, Greece, Poland, Italy, Germany. In these countries of Europe, revolution occurred. I am giving an example, the July Revolution. The July Revolution of 1830 in France. July Revolution happened in France. July Revolution, what happened? Already I have told, by the Treaty of Vienna, the Bourbon dynasty was restored. It is the Charles X, the Bourbon monarch, was restored to France. But he became autocratic, and he was a very despotic ruler. He introduced several autocratic rules. Naturally, he was dethroned, and the people, liberal nationalists, brought him to the throne. It is the Louis Philippe. He is called Citizen King. He was brought by the people, Louis Philippe, in the year 1813. So the revolution also had it sparked a revolution in Brussels also, in Belgium, and Belgium now came out of the United Kingdom of Netherlands. Now we see that similarly, it is as a part, already I have said, many regions of Europe revolution began. It is the Greek War of Independence. The Greek War of Independence began in 1821. It was a part of the Ottoman Empire in the 15th century. Now we see that what happened at that time, Greeks were oppressed and tortured by the Ottoman rulers. And however, we see that these Greek were the Greek of Turkey got inspiration from the Greeks who lived in exile on other countries. Moreover, many Western countries, the people of many Western countries of Europe, also a great admirer of ancient Greek civilization, Greek culture, Greek civilization, poetry, etc. However, we see that in this way the Greek War of Independence began, and ultimately we see that even I can mention the name of English poet Byron, who also collected huge amount of fund and joined the war and died of fever in 1824. In 1832, by the Treaty of Constantinople, the Greeks were given independence. And now we see that the Romanticism culture, art, poetry, etc. What is Romanticism? Generally, we understand that nationalism is completely related to wars and territorial expansion, but it is not so. You see, nationalism also connected with the culture. What is cultural development? Culture means art, poetry, stories, music, etc. So, Romanticism is a cultural movement. In particular, it developed particular nationalist sentiments among the people. It encouraged the emotions, mystical feelings among the people, not reason, or it is not based on scientific thinking. Whatever it may be, I will mention in the beginning the name of a German philosopher, Johann Gottfried Herder, who actually encouraged the people with common thinking, meaning actually folk dance, folk songs, folk poetry. That means he encouraged the common people, that is called Das Bhog. Common, you see that they encourage the people with the ideal of, so that the people could express their thinking through these things, that is the folk dance, folk poetry and folk songs. And in this way, you see that he encouraged the German people, encouraged the nationalism, development nationalism, romantic nationalism in Germany. Another important place I can say Poland. Well, language also played an important role in the unification of Polish country or Poland. Well, how? Because Poland was in the 18th century was divided among the Russia, Prussia and Austria. It was partition, and Poland has no independence. It is not an independent country, and however still the Polish people wanted to develop their culture through music and songs or dance, see that the operas, etc. For example, Karol Kurpinski. Karol Kurpinski was organized several operas or theaters so that the people of Poland could be united. And moreover, when it was under the Russian rule, the Russia imposed their language, and it was the Polish people were completely forbidden to speak in Polish language, their national language, and you see that they imposed their Russian language in schools and many other institutions or places. However, the Polish people, particularly the churchmen, clergymen, resisted it. They decided to organize the church gatherings and they used to give sermon in Polish language. However, this is how the many clergymen or churchmen were given punishment. They were exiled. They were banished to Siberia in Russia and given to jail, or several severe punishment was given to them. Still, the people of Poland carried on their struggle against the Russian dominance. Ultimately, they won. And one thing, one important incident happened in 1831 when the Polish people tried to resist the Russian dominance, but it was ultimately crushed. Whatever it may be, in this way, the Romanticism or romantic culture played an important role in European countries to develop nationalism. Thank you all, and next day I shall discuss other topics.